Travel and Things in association with Sun Destinations, iconic destinations with amazing experience, presents In Conversation With. I am your host, David Batsoffen, and I'm joined today by the co-director and operations manager for one of my favorite camps in the Sun Destinations stable, and that's Chacma Bush Camp. Luan Oosthuizen, welcome to you.
Morning, David. Thanks for having me.
It's only a pleasure. One of my favorite intimate luxury camps. And let's start off with a nice welcome drink, both for our chat and when guests arrive. Have you any idea where this particular tradition started or how it started?
I'm not sure how it started, but it's definitely very popular. I think must have been, people traveling from all over the world, a couple of hours on a plane, couple of hours on a shuttle or on the back of a game viewer to get to the lodge. And then once you
Mm.
get there, there's a nice refreshing drink and a face cloth to refresh yourself, and it sets the tone for the safari experience that's about to start.
Yeah. I think it gives arriving guests the opportunity to meet the staff that they're going to be interacting with on a personal level.
Exactly, yeah. So especially lodges like Chacma, the small intimate lodges, you'll be welcomed by the lodge manager or the lodge anchor, and yeah, you get to meet them and know that they'll be looking after you for the duration of your stay. And there's a face to put to the welcome drinks and all the other spoils there'll be afterwards.
I was going to say, not somebody just hiding in a back office like in a hotel and you never get to see them. They're just a voice in the distance.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a very personal experience at the smaller camps.
Yeah.
The really
Looking
attention to detail
at the
when it comes
camp,
to the.
looking at the camp, I love this view. It's sort of from the office where the office currently is, that side of the camp. Your gardens seem to be all water-wise and succulent based. So my question is, do you have people taking a bit of speckworm home with them or a cactus vanishes?
We haven't had it yet, but yeah, it's more the dassies and the clip springers that make them vanish. Come winter and the veld turns a little bit more dull and food's not that in the abundance. Yeah, we get a lot of warthogs and even sometimes the ellies coming to enjoy our garden.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you'll see there's some big trees that's been moved around. It's usually in the later winter periods.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, no, the gardens are looking good at the moment, and we've had some really good rain this year. You'll see the veld as well. The grass is
it's
looking
very
really good.
green.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
nice
both
winter.
it's both a blessing and a curse though, because from a game viewing point of view, the game can hide very easily. They can be lying right next. You can have a leopard in the road next to you, and that Natal grass is so long that you can't even see them. But you want them to
No,
be well, you want the animals to be well fed, so it's
exactly.
a bit of a juggle as a human
Yeah,
being when you go.
no, definitely. Like a good rainy season like this, it makes it trickier. It
Mm.
definitely does. But the bush is almost so thick that the animals prefer to stick to the roads as well. It's just there for them. So you'll see they slowly opening up the plains again, and yeah, come winter,
Mm.
it's within 3 4 weeks that grass just kind of seems to disappear. But yeah, good for the animals. The numbers will definitely be increasing with everybody being in good condition for the winter to come.
Now, since my last visit, which was the latter part of 2024, there have been some major changes to the camp. One of these being what looks like a new dining and seating area. This image is taken from what I would like to term the old dining area. Can you explain what's to both returning guests who are going to be surprised by this and new guests who wouldn't have known what was there before?
Yes, yeah. So when we took over Chakma, the building that you're looking at. at the moment. That used to be an old boma area, and it was a slight slab to the right, looking onto the watering hole. The boma was tucked away a little bit at the turning circle, and the dining area that this photo is taken from was a little bit tight and a little bit exposed to the elements. So we had to make a plan, and it was always our plan to increase just the size of the dining area, but also making it a little bit more cozy, and then just moving the boma area more towards the watering hole side, so you can actually be around the fire and then enjoy the view onto the watering hole and just having a look what comes down to drink.
We're going to talk about the waterhole and the food in a short while, but for the moment, let's focus in on these changes. This is looking from towards that whole new area. So you've got the new dining area, you've got the what was and still is the existing swimming pool, the old dining area, and then also the kitchen has been moved. It was on the far right of this image, it's now on the far left.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can just see the new dining area situated to the left of the pool. Uh, yeah, it just gives a nice view and makes the bar a little bit closer for the people enjoying the swimming pool. Then you don't have to make your way all the way to the old reception area. And then yeah, with the kitchen, the idea there was to incorporate or to create another a room where the old reception was,
Hmm.
and enable us to have another family room. We do have a fair amount of families traveling, and yeah, it's just always nice to accommodate larger families with 3 or 4 kids,
Yeah.
and that's the whole idea of yeah, moving the kitchen down and then creating a larger room where the old reception was.
Just as an aside question, Luan, what is the first question that your guests ask of your camp manager when they arrive?
Usually, I must say, a very frequently asked question is, do the animals come and drink here? Like when
Okay.
they stop and they look onto the watering hole, and
Mm.
that's yeah, a very frequently asked question is, do the animals drink here, and what animals do come and drink here?
Okay,
And of
because
course,
the answer I was looking for, and maybe I should have primed you, was what's the Wi-Fi password? Because that seems to be that seems to be the kicker nowadays.
yeah,
They'll climb out of a vehicle or off a shuttle or however they arrive, because your camp is very nice in that you can drive right into the camp. You don't have to park and then wait for a vehicle to come and fetch you. And
yeah,
specifically the younger people on board, they just want to clap your Wi-Fi stickend, as they say in the classics.
yeah, no, definitely, especially the younger generation.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's also a matter of traveling to Africa. A lot of family and friends might be a little bit anxious and worried about everybody. But of course, yeah, we know, especially Hoedspruit area, Hoedspruit Airport to Chacma, very safe. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
just to check them probably.
I cannot chat to you without talking about the food at Chacma. And it's both good and bad. The only thing I can say to guests who are watching this and going, should we go, is I'm going to say 2 words to you. And those words are pace yourself. Because the food that comes out of your kitchen is not only stunning, but your chef has no idea of portion size. Portion size to them is fill the plate with as much delicious food as we can, and then they'll just
Yeah,
tuck in and eat all of it.
yeah. One thing they make sure of is guests don't go hungry. That's for sure.
You you better believe it, because this quiche, if I remember correctly, there's both a vegetarian and a meat option on this particular platter.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we do have a lot of dietary requirements from guests, and we also always try and accommodate as much as we can, and we do.
Mm.
So we always have various options for people that are maybe a little bit more picky eaters that don't like their onions or their mushrooms or their whatever it may be. Yeah, the large manager Anchor will get all those details on arrival, and then the chef will make sure that you're fed well.
I've given up when it says dietary requirements. When I get that email, I just put food. But the problem is when you come home, I mean, you guys do breakfast, you do lunch, you do high tea, and then you do dinner. Now, when I come home, there's none of that waiting for me. There's cornflakes in the morning, a sandwich at lunchtime, and if I'm lucky, and then whatever's in the fridge
Yeah.
for supper. And all of a sudden, from having a full tummy, I've got like maybe I have to go and hunt for my food.
And then you still have to do the dishes afterwards.
Well,
No,
I've
so
got a
we
dishwasher, so that's not, that's not too bad. But the food is stunning. This is
it's good stuff.
a little bit of a different view of that area before you'd filled it with furniture. I must say that that picture was taken before everything was put in, and we'll get to those images now. But this is another little seating area. You've sort of populated your public spaces with small areas where people can sit, they can either interact with the other guests or not. It's up to them,
Yeah,
and you don't feel pressurized to talk to strangers.
exactly. Yeah. So at the moment at Chacma, we've only got the three rooms. So often you'll have three different couples or three different families traveling together. Most of the time, people traveling Africa from different parts of Europe or Americas, they like to chat to each other and find out more about each other's trip. But also, if you just want to relax, read a book, or uh, get away from the kids a bit, then there's more than enough space to do that. You can go hide in a corner and yeah, enjoy your book and yeah, just enjoy the safari experience. So that's the whole idea behind creating these little intimate spaces where everybody can kind of get a different look onto the watering hole and yeah, just enjoy the
And
downtime.
also, all of the accommodation as it stands currently have verandas where people, if they want to sit out away from the madding crowd, so to speak, they can sit on those verandas. They've still got a view of the waterhole, or somebody sitting here will shout out, "Oh, there is X at the waterhole," and then everybody comes running.
Exactly, yeah. You can definitely see from each of the little stoop areas, you can have an eye on the watering hole, and then also you'll see the body language of the people as soon as there's something interesting arriving.
Yeah.
You see the cell phones coming out or the binos and everybody making their way towards the watering hole.
Indeed. So this is the reverse view of what we've just seen. And now you've put all the furniture in and it looks stunning. It really and truly does. Congratulations to everybody involved in this particular refurb because it's added a huge amount of space and a beautiful space for both, as we said, returning guests and new guests who have not seen this area before and who will be blown away.
Thanks, David. Yeah, we're still working on it. It's always tricky when you do take on these projects with the lodge. You've got all the staff around. You need to have guests in camp. Um, so we try and do it small little projects at a time, but
Mm.
it's really nice. When it comes together and you finally have the guest enjoying this area, then yeah, it makes it all worthwhile.
Do believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that guests think that nothing happens at a lodge. You go out on a drive in the morning, the guide and the tracker, if they're using a tracker or just a guide, they come back, they get off their vehicle, they go into their room, they kip for they have a sleep the entire day, they may have some food, and then they come and pick you up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But there is
Yeah,
a lot. It's like watching a duck on a pond. It looks like it's
exactly.
just relaxed, but meanwhile, underneath, those feet are paddling like
Yeah,
crazy to keep that duck moving. And it's the same with the lodge. And I do believe
exactly.
that people should take a moment and just realize what goes into presenting a guest something like this, for instance, where
Jeez.
they can just sit and relax. And I know that I was accosted every 13 seconds by somebody saying, "Can we get you something to drink? Would you like a biscuit?" And I'm going, "I've just had breakfast, for goodness sake." Or I've just had lunch. I'm waiting for tea. Um,
Yeah.
but you can just, I think people need to be aware of back of house.
Yeah. No, definitely. There's so many people running around in the background, and yeah, so many things that potentially can go wrong or might be a bit problematic. I mean, a big thing for us is, of course, power supply,
Yeah.
water, the food, like all of those things. Yeah, it really keeps us busy, and it's when you least expect it, then something goes wrong. But at least we've got a incredible team that's with us. And most of them have been with us since day one, so
Mm.
everybody knows their role very well and is always willing to help and go the extra mile. So we've got a great team, which I'm very
You
appreciative.
you spoke about the watering hole. Now, this is yet another view from that new area, and you can see the water hole in the background. It's not a huge water hole, but it does invite in. I've sat there with huge herds of ellie, with buffaloes, with giraffe. Even on one occasion, we'd gone out on a late night or a afternoon game drive looking for leopard, found nothing, arrived back, and the manager of the camp at the time said, "Go and have a look at the water hole." And the leopard was drinking there.
Yeah. No, it's a small watering hole, like you say, but very active,
Yeah.
especially come late winter. There's not a lot of large watering holes in the area, so yeah, it's always worth just sitting on the stoop or on the deck and just enjoying that watering hole and seeing what comes down.
You will realize during the course of our chat that the images that I've chosen for this chat are all of the public spaces. And I did that
Yes.
very specifically because I don't want people to sit in their rooms. Rooms you walk in, there's a bed, it's very nice, there's a bathroom, very nice, but this is where the action happens. And I want people to get out and enjoy it. Lie on these lounges. Again, all of these look over the pool. Not the pool, the watering hole. So you've got a tremendous view of what comes and goes. And I've been at camps where people have said, "What time do the elephants arrive?" Or "What time do the buffalo get there?" They're on their own time.
Exactly. Yeah, we haven't got the training 100% yet, but we'll get there with them. Get them as lunch goes out, they need to show up.
Yeah.
But that's the nice thing, you just never know what's going to pop down at the watering hole. And bird wise, as well as changing of the seasons,
Yeah.
there's new things arriving.
You've got stunning bird life in that area. And I'm one of those birders. If I see it, sometimes I recognize it. Otherwise, I have a birding app, and B, a birding expert on speed dial. So I normally
Yeah,
take a picture, send Doug the picture and go, "What is this?"
yeah, that's the
Um,
way to do it.
that's I've got all sorts of experts on speed dial that to help me. But I wish I was one of those, and I've walked and driven with certain of them who they just hear a call and they can tell you what it is, what species it is, what direction it's flying in, all of the above. And those sort of people
Yeah,
fascinate me. They really and truly do.
yeah. There's just time in the bush. The more
Well,
hours you
this
spend
is
out there comes naturally.
this is it. Us weekend warriors, we come there for 2 nights and we try and cram as much information into our heads as we possibly can. And then it's
Yeah,
months before we go back into the bush, which is
yeah.
the
And
way
it's
the
even
way
for
the
the
world
guide.
works, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, changing of the seasons. Some birds, they'll migrate during our winters, and you don't hear that calls for a couple of months, and then when I come back, you almost have to, look up in your brain what call it is exactly.
Woodland, the woodland kingfisher springs to mind with
Yeah,
that. That
yeah. So
normally indicates a season
yeah,
change.
exactly. They just about quiet now, so I'm sure most of them have left already.
But the last time I was in the camp, I heard a call, and I thought it was I knew it was an owl of some sort, and it was
Oh
an
yes,
African barred owl. And I searched
yes.
high and low for the thing, and then I realized it was sitting right in front of me on a succulent,
And you got to
just
see.
outside the office, and almost as if to say, I've been calling for like the last 10 minutes and you've been looking all over the place and I'm sitting right here.
Yeah, yeah, such good camouflage, and he's always about. But it's a nice challenge to try and spot him because he's always in different
Yeah.
locations. So he hasn't got his favorite spot, but yeah, it'll keep you busy between game drive times. It's
Yeah.
yeah, fairly
Now,
active during the day, which makes it nice.
one of the positives, I suppose, about so much food at Chacma is you can walk it off without leaving camp because directly behind camp, and I think this is just about as you start the walk to the top of the koppie, is a very nice koppie. It's not a strenuous climb, but it'll give you steps if you want, and then it gives you a
Exactly.
stunning view over the camp and over the surrounding bushveld.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, it's just high enough for I think everybody to reach. You don't have to be a mountaineer to get up there, but it's also you can do a couple of trips up and down if you want to burn those calories you've gained meal time. But a very nice view, so you can look into the distance and actually sometimes see the herds of elephants like this approaching,
Yeah.
and then quickly make your way down, get your camera, and then be ready for the arrival of the herd.
Now, people go, elephants. Do they ever forget? And in the case of yours, the answer is no,
Mhm.
because there is a small water supply, fresh water supply to the right of this image. And I've
Mm.
had an interaction with an Ellie there who, because the water wasn't switched on, who was screaming and shouting at me as if to say, go and turn the water. Tell somebody to turn the water on. I'm not drinking from this watering hole.
Yeah, no, they're definitely spoiled. So we've got our overflow of our tank
Mm,
runs straight down into the watering hole in front of the lodge. And
right.
it sometimes feels like they've either smell it or hear it, or I'm not sure how they pick it up. But as soon as that tank starts overflowing, you just find these elephants arriving, and they all fight for that spot where the fresh and cool water is coming out. So very
It's
picky about quality of water.
they are indeed. People don't, I mean, they've got all this water there, but they will stand, as you say, in a tight group with
Mm,
beating each other almost on the head to get that little bit
exactly.
of fresh, cool water. But
Yeah.
the elephant herds that come down here, sometimes you can almost set your watch by them, because
Yeah.
they tend to come pretty regularly. I should imagine when there's less water out in the bush, they're more frequent visitors. But when there is water away from the lodge, they'd use that to back up
Yeah.
this.
Yes, and it's also the changing of the season. When
Yeah.
the food around that area gets less, it's almost like the elephants disappear for a couple of days at a time, and then they just re-enter the park, and then they're just everywhere around every corner.
Yeah. This is back to that new area, but at night. And the ambience of this area changes so dramatically. There's still animals
Yes.
that come and go from the waterhole. You may hear them. The night I was there, there was a porcupine that came skedaddling past the watering hole. And people don't realize how fast those little critters actually move.
Yeah. No, you always have to have one eye on the watering hole,
Yeah,
especially in the evening.
exactly.
Yeah, and
And then, of course, not everything is about, I was going to say, not everything is about teeth and claws, but if you look at this eagle owl and you look at the size of its claws, I don't know whether, you know, if you were faced with a lion or one of these, I don't know which would be the easier choice to pick.
yeah, no, exactly. Beautiful image.
Thank you. Um, they tend to sometimes they tend to play along and they'll sit there and sort of peer off into the distance, um, trying to pretend you don't even exist. But I suppose once you see these, it's then time for this. This is the family room, and there's something about Luan, a mosquito net over a bed on a
Mm,
safari that just makes it that little bit more special.
yeah, exactly. Then you're in a place where the mozzies are, and that's usually so that
Listen, there's
the
nothing worse. And I have to say, there weren't mozzies when I was there. Or if they
Yeah,
were, they couldn't get through the net.
wasn't it?
But I've
No,
been
we're
in
lucky.
places where I've ended up sleeping, almost waterboarding myself, sleeping under wet towels, and they find a way in. And then you
Yeah,
spend
no.
the whole night slapping yourself in the face because it's that persistent noise. If they didn't have a noise, it wouldn't be so bad because then you wouldn't even know they were there. But it's that whine in your ear that will drive you to insanity.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, you can't go without the mosquito nets, and it also gives that comfort for once you get in, it's safe.
So let's just stop the share for a moment. Let's talk about Chacma. When is the best time to visit the camp?
Sure. That's it.
Is
Typically,
there a good time or is any time a
I
good
mean,
time?
any time in the bush is nice. But I must say I prefer the changing of the seasons. So end of summer, um, or start of summer, end of summer. So when you go
Mhm.
April, May, it's a really nice time, and then September, October. For me, that's the best times. It's nice and cool, not too hot. For the people that don't like insects, there's not too many of them around. You might still have a little bit of greenery. Uh, April, May, for us this year, there's still a lot of greenery.
Mhm.
Uh, and then, yeah, September, October, we might have had one or two showers, so the new fresh greenery and the trees will start pushing out their new leaves. So then you've got some color in the bush. But it all depends on what time of the year you able to travel.
Mhm.
It is very nice and cool. The game drives in the morning can be quite fresh. And then midsummer, of course, you've got the heat. December up to February, you've got warm afternoons and maybe a thunder shower or two. But I mean,
I
you never know
I'm
what you're going to get.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by those people early mornings, sort of going into autumn, as you say, can be a little chilly, but they arrive at the vehicle, and because the mornings are fresh rather than cold, they'll arrive in a t-shirt with maybe a light tracksuit top. That vehicle hasn't
Yeah.
even got Your game drive vehicle hasn't even got to your gate. And they're going, can we just go back and get a jacket? Because it gets
Uh,
cold very quickly when you're
so
moving
that chill
specific.
factor.
Yeah,
No,
that wind
exactly.
chill factor.
No, it is. And then by say the time you get back to the lodge, it's already low 20s. So then
Well,
you almost want
this
to
is it. So
step
you
in again.
start, you've got to layer up. You can't arrive on a vehicle dressed for the Arctic North or South Pole for that matter, because you're going to be cooking and you're going to be,
Yeah,
begging somebody to lend you a t-shirt if you've only
yeah,
got, a huge tracksuit top or a huge fleece-lined top on and nothing underneath type of thing.
yeah.
What can guests expect when they come to Chakma? And from you, and what do you expect from your guests?
Um, it being a small, intimate camp, like I say, um, I mean, what we want to offer is an intimate experience. So it's not it's something different to what other camps offer. We want everybody to put a face to the meals. Really get to know your guide, and for your guide to really get to know you. And then we do spend a lot of time with our guests in between the drives as well. So then you can really find out what the expectations are of the guest. I mean, people that are well traveled, maybe there's a bird species or a plant species that they're really interested in that we can then really focus on. Um, and the nice thing about the area or the reserve around Chacma, the Maseke Reserve, it is a little bit different with the nice mixture of felt. So you've got the Mupani felt, you've got the bush willow, you've got the Olifants River in the south, we've got the Koppies. So it's a very diverse little reserve. And
Mm.
for people that are well traveled, there's always some species that you don't find throughout the Kruger
Yeah.
National Park, specifically to these areas, which make it definitely worth visiting.
Now, you were saying you chat to your guests. I have a habit of talking to guests. Whether they want me to talk to them or not is a whole nother question. But you meet the most interesting people, and sometimes you maintain the relationship. I've still maintained a relationship with several of the guests I met at Chacma, and the most interesting for me is a British guest that you guys had a couple of years ago, who is the governor of a women's prison in England.
Wow.
I'm not gonna mention him by name, lest his bosses don't want
Mm.
him to be identified. But for the rest of the trip, I called him Gov because, that's what they do in a prison. And
Yeah.
he was a most interesting fellow. We didn't get into the whys and wherefores type of thing, but talk to your guests, other guests, talk to each other,
Definitely.
find out more about who the people are. The most
Yeah.
important thing, I suppose, Luan, is how do people book?
So when you about to plan your trip, you can
Mhm.
contact Sun Destinations directly. So their email address is pretty straightforward. It's reservations@sundestinations.co.za.
Right.
And then the team there, you can just explain to them what your idea is, what you've got in mind for your trip, the places you would like to visit, group size, duration, that you want to be on safari, and how many days you want to spend elsewhere in South Africa, and they can kind of put a package together for you
Okay.
that'll suit your needs. Yeah,
So
so we've also got
so sort of
different products.
one-stop shop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's different products that'll suit any travelers across Southern Africa. So it's not just South Africa. There's walking safaris that are available as well if people are more interested in the walking side of things. Um, but yeah, like I say, if you're starting to plan your trip, best is to just contact them directly and they could help you with all of those options.
Right. And it's reservations with an S at Sundestinations with an S .co.za.
That's correct.
Great stuff. Luan, thank you so much for chatting to us here on In Conversation With. It's been wonderful talking with you. I do hope to be back the latter part of 2025 to come and see what else, because I know that there are other plans afoot for Chacma to make it even more luxurious than it is now. But when it comes to dietary requirements on the form, I will say half portions, please.
Thanks, David. Yeah, it was awesome chatting to you and seeing you again. And yeah, looking forward to having you back at the camp. And we hope we can surprise you with a lot of new and improvements around the lodge.
Great stuff. I've been talking to Luan Oosthuizen, who's one of the directors and the ops manager at Chacma Bush Camp. This has been In Conversation With. I'm David Batsoff, and until the next time, thanks for visiting.